I've been taking 2 hours a week to just do personal equity work. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, and I've been doing that for a couple months now, actually.
That's so
and
cool.
That's the kind of thing where in another organization, I wouldn't even think to bring it up.
Yeah.
And here I feel like I'm really kind of pushed and encouraged to find what I'm interested in or curious about and to kind of like run towards that full speed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool professional development work. So what kind of resources have you been utilizing for your personal equity?
It's looked a little different from week to week. The past 2 or 3 weeks, I've been also working on this tiny resource library. So I've been trying to kind of pull together lists of different readings that I've already started and books that have been on my list and starting to build out like an equity library for 4.0.
Cool.
So kind of compiling resources in that way. I also definitely would shout out Rachel Cargill, who I found through Instagram, and she is just like revolutionary, and she gives these talks on unpacking white feminism, which is something that I'm really interested in doing. And she has a challenge through her website called Do the Work, #DoTheWork. And each day has a different topic, so things like racism in our medical field or in housing or across gender, and just trying to look at white supremacy through different areas and with different resources and self-challenges too. And it's led to some really cool conversations with family members and with friends, and it's just kind of given me confidence to have uncomfortable conversations because white folks need to learn how to get uncomfortable and talk about race.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just that's a really cool resource to share, and I appreciate that. That is definitely something I've been thinking a lot about too. Like as a non-black, light-skinned person of color, like all of the levels of responsibility that go with that too, of having conversations with your family or your people generally, right? And what that looks like and how we can be effective. Effective is like a really bit, that's not the word that I meant, because that has so much to unpack inside of it, and that's not what I meant. But yeah, so I appreciate you sharing that. And I read, and I keep talking about this book, Emergent Strategy by Adrienne Marie Brown, and she talks about how our interpersonal relationships should be like the small fractal version of what we want our communities to look like. And so how we can hold each other accountable, and how important it is to have those friends who you can hold in like love and trust and accountability, to be able to have the conversations of like, oh, I think I fucked up in this way today, and like here's what someone who will like hold me accountable to that, while also we can have a bigger discussion about it and what that means and what our own biases are that we bring to the work. So thanks for bringing that up. And that's a really cool PD.
Yeah. It feels insane that I get to take 2 hours of my time each week for work, getting to do that. But it also feels like, why doesn't everyone get to do that? So I'm really excited to kind of keep doing that over the next few months. I'll probably do it forever, because at this point it's a really important part of my like weekly rhythm, and the weeks where I've skipped it, I feel differently. I just think that I always come back to advice that I actually got from a Wave 4 Tiny Fellow, which is that especially around like race and equity or DEI, if we want to get buzzwordy about it, it's really easy to feel nervous about having these conversations because you don't want to mess up, but you're always going to mess up. There's always going to be a mistake. No one is perfect at that. And you just have to make sure that you are making different mistakes every time. So for me, I think about Tiny Camp, which we run every 6 months to a year, and the mistakes that we make in one need to be lessons and something to propel me to try something different the next time, because it's okay to make mistakes, but you shouldn't make the same ones over and over.